Hi. You might recall that we are reading The Best Bad Thing, and we are in chapter 6. And in the last chapter, Rinko, Zenny, and Abu were being bullied. They went to find some wood next to the railroad tracks, and a big adult man, a bully, came and tried to get the wood from them. And the old man who lives in the barn came and rescued them. So, time for chapter 6. When our wagon was full, the old man said, "Well, I guess you don't need me any longer." He put a hand on Zenny's shoulder. "Don't tell your mama what happened. It'll just upset her, and she's got enough to worry about as it is." Then he gave Zenny and Abu a pat on the head, but he just ignored me. In fact, I got the feeling he didn't like me very much, and I felt the way I do when the white girls at school ignore me. But he's Japanese, like me, I thought. Why doesn't he like me? There was something strange and distant about him. He was keeping his distance the way I do with some people. For instance, I never talk first to a white person because I might be ignored, and that really hurts. Maybe that's how the old man felt about me, I thought. "But if you talk to me, I'd like you back, old man," I said, as though he were there to hear me. "I wouldn't ignore you if you'd just give me a chance. Why don't you—" "Hey, Rinko, quit daydreaming." Zenny and Abu were heading for home, and I had to run to catch up with them. The old man was way ahead of us now, loping down the road with big, graceful strides like a long-legged giraffe. And pretty soon I couldn't even see him. We were almost home when I heard a train coming from far down the tracks. I saw Abu's face light up. "Hey, Zenny, here comes a freight." "I hear it." Zenny sounded cautious, and he looked at me as though he wished I weren't there. I knew in a minute what both of them were thinking. "You know what your mama said," I reminded them. "You're not a snitch, are you?" Zenny asked. What could I say to a question like that? Nobody wants to be a snitch. Nobody in the world has any use for a snitch. Besides, I didn't want to be rejected by Abu and Zenny as well as the old man. I thought things over for a minute and then said, "I won't tell if you show me how to ride the freights." You couldn't learn how." "Bet I could." I bet you $1,000,000,000,000 you can't," Abu piped up. "You got $1,000,000,000,000, Abu?" I asked. "Sure, I got it buried in a hole in the ground." "Okay then," I said, surprising him. "I bet you $1,000,000,000,000 I can do it." "Shake," he said. But I wasn't about to be tricked again. I could be a good sport about it once, but not twice. "It's a verbal agreement," I told him, and then I concentrated on Zenny. "It ain't so easy," he began. "Well, hurry up and tell me how." Zenny frowned, and I could see he still didn't want to tell me, but the freight train was closer now. The engine was chuffing, and we could hear the squeal of the wheels on the tracks. "Well, what you do is run along the side of the car for a while, see? Then you reach for one of the grab bars. Then you gotta lift your feet up real quick on one of the lower bars and hold on tight. Then you just ride till you want to get off." "Getting off's the hard part," Abu admitted. "It is?" It sounded like the easiest to me. "You gotta be sure to jump in the direction the train's going," Zenny instructed. "Otherwise the wheels could roll right over you and then you're a goner." Actually, I'm going to stop here for a minute as the reader and say, never try this. And if we had time to read the whole book, you would find out why you shouldn't ever do this. He flicked his hand across his throat and made a terrible sound and rolled his eyes. Yeah! Abu made an even more horrible sound and showed me the whites of his eyes. They were trying to scare me, but it was too late to back down. Here it comes! Zenny shouted, and already Abu was running ahead of him. Abu grabbed one of the bars, struggled to get his feet up, and then hung on for dear life, looking like a crab clinging to a boulder. Zenny waited for the next car and then did exactly what he'd told me to do. All the time I was watching them, I could hear Auntie Hada's voice telling them not to ride the freight cars anymore. But I couldn't think about Auntie Hada for long because it was my turn. And if I didn't hurry, I'd miss the last car. I ran alongside the boxcar, which wasn't hard because the train was going so slow. I reached up, grabbed the first bar I could, then swung my feet up, and there I was. I'd done it. I was riding along, clinging to the side of a boxcar. It was the most fun I'd had in a long time. Hey, look at me, I yelled, as though my brother Joji were standing there looking envious. Mama would have been horrified. That's not ladylike, Rinko, she would have said. And besides, it's dangerous. Get off at once. I was surprised at myself for enjoying it so much. Here I was behaving like my 10-and-a-half-year-old brother instead of his older sister. But that's how I am. I am very easily influenced by whoever I happen to be with. And ever since I got to East Oakland, I've been behaving more and more like Zenny and Abu. On the other hand, when I'm with my friend Tammy, I behave the way she does and think about boys and getting married, which is what her mother is so interested in. Matching people up, that is. She's always trying to find wives for the bachelors who live in the church dormitory. And when my widowed Aunt Waka came to visit from Japan, she spent the entire summer trying to find a husband for her. Anyway, Tammy always asks me about my brother Cal's friends. She wants to know how old they are and whether they have girlfriends and whether I think they're good looking. Next to my brother Cal, I think she likes Hisashi best because he's got such pretty eyes. The reason I like him is because everybody calls him Hi. And I just love saying, hi, hi, to him. Actually, I guess I'm about 5 different people depending on who I'm with. With Joji, I can be mean and bossy. With Mama and Papa, I can be stubborn and ornery. With Mrs. Sugar, I can be cheerful and sweet. And with the big bully, I really tried to be strong and brave the way my Aunt Waka told me to be. The trouble is, I can't seem to stay that way. The minute I get to school, I am Rinko the meek and mild. And I don't like myself much when I'm like that. In fact, I never feel like my own true self at school. But sometimes I'm not exactly sure which is the real true me. I guess I'm always changing, never the same. But Mrs. Sugar once told me that's only natural. She said, different people bring out different qualities in us, Rinko. Sometimes we behave the way people expect us to, not the way we really want to. And I got to thinking maybe I feel clumsy and homely when I'm with Tammy because she expects me to be that way. Mrs. Sugar and I have some very philosophical discussions, and I was wondering what she'd make of the old man and how he'd treated me. I was wishing I could run through the hole in our hedge right now and tell her about him. Then I heard Zenny yell, "Getting off!" And he jumped off, running in the direction the train was going. And then Abu yelled, "Getting off!" And he turned a couple of somersaults away from the tracks when he jumped. and I took a deep breath and yelled, "Here I come!" I tried to jump, but my fingers were clenched so tight around the grab bar, I couldn't seem to let go. "Jump, Rinko! Get off, let go! I'm coming!" I took a deep breath, closed my eyes, let go, and jumped. I heard the wheels of the train click by practically in front of my nose as I fell to the ground. And then I felt a sharp pain in my ankle. Zenny and Abu came running up to me. "I told you to jump the way the train was going. Boy, you nearly got yourself killed." I wanted to tell them I tried to do it right, but all I could do was moan. "I think I sprained my ankle," I finally said. I tried to get up, but a streak of red-hot pain shot right to the tip of my head. "Ouch!" I yelled. Oh my, this is horrible. What was she doing riding the train? I felt awful. Here I was, supposed to be such a help and comfort to Auntie Hada, and I'd not only let Zenny and Abu ride the freights, which she expressly forbade them to do, but I'd done it myself. Furthermore, I had gotten hurt by being clumsy and dumb and behaving like a 10-year-old. It seemed a bad omen, and I had the feeling my 2 weeks in East Oakland were going to be an utter disaster. "Now what are we going to do?" Abu asked. He looked at me as though he'd wished I'd just disappear into a hole in the ground. But Zenny helped me up and told me to see if I could walk. I tested my ankle, gritted my teeth, and said, "I can walk." I don't know how I did it, but I managed to hobble after Zenny as he pulled his wagon of wood home. And the closer I got to the house, the worse I felt. "What am I going to tell your mama?" I asked. "We won't snitch," Zenny offered. "But she'll see my ankle. The old man'll fix it." "Yeah, he'll make you eat ground-up snake," Abu added. "Oh, cut it out, Abu," Zenny said. "Rinko's feeling bad." And I most certainly was. My ankle throbbed and felt like a balloon. "You don't eat ground-up snake for sprained ankles," I said to Abu. "That cure's only for little boys who don't listen to their mamas." "Oh, yeah?" "Yeah." It's a good thing we got to the barn just then, because I was picking a fight with a little 8-year-old, just the way I do with my brother Joji. My only excuse was that my ankle really hurt. The barn door creaked as Zenny pulled it open, and we trooped in single file, me last. "We need help," Zenny called out to the old man. And from somewhere deep inside the barn, I heard the old man answer, "What, again?" And that is the end of chapter 6. She got herself in some trouble. But I have to tell you, riding on a train, jumping on like that, is extremely dangerous. No one should ever try it. And as the chapters go on, there's much more trouble that they get into from trying to ride the freight trains. It really is quite shocking. But this is my last chapter that I'm reading for videos of this school year. So unfortunately, I'm not able to finish this book. I'm hoping, I'm going to return this book. I have to return this book to the Ocean View Library before the end of the school year. So I am bringing it back at the very beginning of June. I have to bring it back before the school year ends. That's why I can't read the rest of it to you. But there it will be in the Ocean View Library, and I'm hoping that someday you can check this book out and finish it yourself and find out what happens. And remember, the title is The Best Bad Thing. So it is about something really bad that happens, but for some reason, the bad thing must end up good because it's called the best bad thing. And if you want to find out how something bad can actually be something good, you're going to have to check out this book. So at this point, I'm going to say that I've really enjoyed reading to you and seeing you at the beginning of the year in the library. I hope to see you again next year, and I hope that you all have a wonderful summer. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.